Hello, good morning everyone. This is Science for Grade 6, weekly plan number 11. Our topic is about heat transfer, chapter 9, lesson 5. We will go through the pages 400 to 403. Let's see the objectives of the lesson: to describe how temperature is measured, to describe how heat is transferred, to explain the three different ways that heat is transferred. Now let's see the difference between these two pictures. Before we go to the definitions of temperature and thermal energy, let us see an example here. Look at the two pictures here. The first picture is about a tea cup with tea, hot tea, and the second picture is a teapot with hot tea. Now let's see which one has more thermal energy and which one has more temperature. Here we have the answers of the above picture. The tea in the teacup has less thermal energy than the tea in the pot. The hot tea in the teapot is the same temperature as the hot tea in the teacup. That means the tea in the pot has more thermal energy than the tea in the cup because it has more mass. Let's see the difference between thermal energy and temperature. Let us see the definitions of thermal energy and temperature. We know that all substances are made up of tiny particles called atoms and molecules, and these particles are constantly moving. The faster the particles move, the more energy they have. Thermal energy measures the total energy of the motion in the particles of a substance. But temperature is the average amount of energy of motion of each particle of a substance. And we have a device which is used to measure the temperature. We call it thermometer. Thermometer is a device that measures temperature. And the unit of temperature, usually the temperature is measured in units called degrees. Two temperature scales are the Celsius scale and the Fahrenheit scale. How heat is transferred. There are three different ways heat can move. The first one is about conduction, second one convection, and the third one radiation. Look at the picture very carefully. You can see the three different ways in which heat can be transferred. Let us see the first one, conduction. The transfer of heat between two substances that are in direct contact is called conduction. When a fast-moving molecule bumps into a slower-moving molecule, the faster one transfers some of its energy to the slower one. The closer together the molecules are in a substance, the better they conduct heat. Conduction works best in some solids such as metals, but not as well in liquids and gases. Conduction means contact. Look at the picture of conduction, heat transfer through one substance to another through direct contact. We can see the example of conduction. Think of a metal spoon in a pot of water being heated. The fast-moving particles of the fire bumps with the slow-moving particles of the cool pot. Because of these collisions, the slower particles move faster and heat is transferred. You can see from the picture. Then the particles of the pot collide with the particles in the water, which collide with the particles at one end of the spoon. As the particles move faster, the metal spoon gets hotter. This process of conduction is repeated all along the metal until the entire spoon is hot. It's another example of conduction. A piece of cheese melts as heat is transferred from the meat to the cheese. It is by direct contact. Our second method is about convection. Atoms and molecules in fluids. Fluids means liquids and gases can move easily. As they move, their energy moves with them. The transfer of heat by the movement of a fluid is called convection. Look at the picture of the convection current. Now let us see conduction and convection. In the left side, you can see the soup is heated in the pan by convection. The hot soup rises and the cool soup falls to take the hot soup's place. See the right side, pan handle is an insulator and does not conduct heat very well. Heat energy from the stove is transferred to the pan by conduction. Now the third one is about radiation. Let us see what you mean by radiation. Radiation is the transfer of energy by electromagnetic waves. Most of the heat that you feel from the sun travels to you as infrared radiation, which you cannot see, but you can feel. Some examples of radiation: fire, heat lamps, and sun. Now our last topic is about heating the troposphere. What do you mean by troposphere? It is the lowest region of the atmosphere extending from the Earth's surface to a height of about 6 to 10 kilometers. Radiation, conduction, and convection work together to heat the troposphere. During a sunny day, the land gets warmer than the air, but because air doesn't conduct heat well, only the first few meters of the troposphere are heated by conduction. When air at ground level warms, its molecules spread out, making it less dense. Cooler, denser air sinks towards the surface, forcing the warmer air to rise. So this upward movement of warm air and the downward movement of cool air, it forms the convection currents. Heat is transferred mostly by convection within the troposphere. You can see from the picture about the convection currents. The upward movement of the warm air and the downward movement of cool air, it forms the convection current. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed the lesson. See you next time. Bye-bye.